Come on, unmute. There we go. Now it's unmuted. Stupid buttons. Stupid buttons. Welcome to the Tuesday Super Show. How is everybody? How was everybody's weekend? I hope all y'all's weekends were great. We can drop that. Thank you for the chat topic. Yeah, if you have any chat topics, make sure you drop those into the chat in either YouTube or Twitch, and we will try and get to those toward the end of the show. We always love having your chat topics because we find that you guys get super animated in there when we start talking about all the things that you're interested in. That's actually going to be our first topic today, Necrontier. So I appreciate that. We're going to get to that in just a second. We're
not going to talk about the fact that you're orange again already? One show later.
It's less orange than it was, and I've been adjusting white balance. Jesus, I keep having to adjust the white balance in the thing because
I will not let it go.
Let's see here. Oh yeah, if you missed any portions of the Super Show, go over to YouTube. I was dropping videos all weekend, so if you missed any of the stuff from last week, any of our big topics from last week, a bunch of those are up on the YouTube channel right now, youtube.com/Gamers Heaven PNW. So make sure you're subscribed to us there. Hit those likes. Help us defeat the evil Google algorithms. So we can get some more views on this stuff. So more people can discover the wonderful place that is this community. I don't look like Trump, thank God. And we've all seen a new picture of that guy recently. Woo. Oh my. But as always, go to my other streams if you want salty chat about politics and things like that. You all know. Actually, yeah, I will actually talk about that. I will actually talk about that because I now see what Andrew's doing. And he's not doing it as silly as I thought, because what I thought he was doing was going to be dangerous. But we can talk about the 144-hour stream. As for events this week, we're going to start with tonight. We're adding a new event to the calendar today, and that is Tuesday Night Fight Night. This is one that John brought us and likes. It's a free event. We're going to have a bunch of setups set up, but you're encouraged to bring your own as well. And John, tell them what kind of the whole purpose of this event's going to be.
Yeah, so absolutely. Good morning, y'all. Hello and welcome on in. So this event specifically is going to be focused on the FGC. Anybody that's interested in fighting games is also welcome to attend. Anybody that wants to learn or just be a part of the community is absolutely welcome. It's a free event so that we can get a lot of eyes on the things that we're doing because we're trying to grow the FGC scene in this area. There are a lot of hungry people that want to come out to events. And Tuesday night has recently seen a lot of the local events kind of fall off. So we're thinking that we want to give people a space to be able to come to that has everything they need, all the monitors they could possibly need, eventually all the consoles they could possibly need. That's why it's a BYOC event for right now. But yeah, BYOC and the fact of bring your own controller, bring your fight stick, hitbox, controller, whatever you want to bring in, or bring your own console with the game that you want to play, especially if you have something like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, we'd love to see it. But the idea is to really support the fighting game community and really start reaching out and planting our roots here and showing them that this is the place to come, much like with the last couple of Smash Brothers events that we've done. We want to be able to do more events. And in order to do more events, we just need to have more people focused on the space. And the idea of getting a free event going really appeals to me because that's how we can offer community space consistently at least once a week, and then we might even be able to spice it up from there. We've had some pretty cool ideas. So yeah, the idea is really just build the community up more like we do with a lot of the other things we do here at Gamers Heaven.
Yeah, and the other thing I would like to point out, and I know that we've got a lot of our regular community that's been kind of nervous about getting into FGCs and like breaking into Smash and FGC and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Which also interesting topic, which is how Smash to some elements of the FGC is not considered a fighting game.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a thing in the community. It's weird to me. But We've had a couple people who came to the event on Saturday who are starting to come around to the idea of joining some of these tournaments and stuff. This Tuesday event seems to me like a great opportunity if you're not sure or if you're kind of nervous about jumping straight into a tournament.
Yeah.
To just come in and like
kind of shake the nerves off a little bit.
Shake the nerves off, hang out with the community, and
Dog Dad, to answer your question real quick, FGC stands for Fighting Game Community as the general whole spirit of the community. FGC is used a lot when you talk about like events, but mostly it just refers to the fighting game community. The things that they come out to, the groups, the various organizations, all have their different names, but the general collective soul of the fighting game community is usually just referred to as the FGC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, a lot of these guys are super friendly. And like, so if you want to like learn stuff about how to get more into fighting games and stuff like that, like this is a great opportunity to like practice and learn.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And get pointers and tips and stuff like that.
Well, and especially if there's some obscure game out there, or even if there's a character you want to brush up on. I believe one of the people that was here, you were telling me about it after the event, was saying that they wanted to come to a Smash event because of the fact that they learned more about their character by watching this one event where all these players were playing than they've been able to do kind of on their own.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And that was really one of the great things that kind of came out of Final Judgment. And with that, we'll get into our first topic today. So first off, we did have the big Final Judgment tournament.
Yep.
This is going to turn into a quarterly regional that's run by the same team that does Stairway to Heaven, which is our bi-weekly.
And we had a little bit over 150 people there, if I remember correctly.
Yep, a little bit over 150 folks wandering through the store. And it was a really great event. Everybody was super chill, very friendly. Mm-hmm. I think everybody had a really good time.
Everybody had a fantastic time from what I heard.
It really is such a good vibe. Like people get so excited about all of this stuff, and so there you go. I gotta.
There's no sound in the video because it is time lapse. So if y'all can't hear us, that's one thing. But don't worry about sound in the video.
Yeah, it's a really really cool event. One second. Existing discarded. There. Now you should be able to hear us while we're playing the video. It's super fun, and again, they're such a chill crowd. They're so much fun. Smash Brothers was the first kind of tournament scene that came into Gamers Heaven not too long after we opened, and to see it grow from these like bi-weeklies and stuff like that, where when we first started out it was like 30, 40. Now we're consistently getting 60, 70 players on the bi-weekly, and then this one being the first big regional they've tried to do, getting 150 players. Is amazing. And even after, what's really cool is not only do you have the main brackets going on, but they were doing ladder all day. There was friendly matches all day. So even if you got knocked out of the bracket, there was still stuff to do all day long.
And what you all were seeing there specifically was just the front room. There was a absolutely wonderful viewing area set up, and there was a lot of stuff happening on the back. They were doing doubles in the back room as well. So there was activity throughout the entire space. It was really fun to watch.
It was a blast. A lot of the comments we've gotten, and I think you can help speak to this a lot, John. A lot of the comments I've gotten from the fighting game and Smash communities since we've been open is how hard it is for them to find venues, find locations to do this.
Especially consistent venues. That's one of the biggest problems, for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of people because they understand that the business model for this is not easy. Like if you're just doing fighting tournaments,
it's tough. Yeah, it's really tough.
It's hard to stay in business.
Absolutely. Yeah. To jump into the chat real quick, Dog Dad. So Smash Brothers is Nintendo's. They call it a brawler, I think, to mostly avoid any violent sort of terms added to their game. but it is a game in which Nintendo characters primarily, or licensed characters that have been on Nintendo in a lot of ways, or in the latest games even further reaching than that. But it's a game where a lot of super mega popular games get to fight each other. It's literally a fighting game of Nintendo properties, a brawler, if you will, of Nintendo properties and other things that they've pulled in, like some Square stuff, some other things like that. So it's kind of it's Nintendo's brawler game.
And they've like recently, I think the last character they added to Smash Brothers Ultimate was Sora, and from Kingdom Hearts. And I know that was a big like get. Like, and a lot of people were really, really surprised to see Sora in a Smash Brothers game, in a Nintendo game. What are we doing?
Your camera's going wild on the autofocus.
No, stop it. Your autofocus, you. What is going on today? I apologize for the technical stuff, folks. What?
That's really weird. I haven't seen that one before. It's just like a light fade every now and then.
It's like, it's trying to think about it.
Well, that's the worst part, because that's the really good camera too. So like, it could be anything.
Literally, I think that's the only time it's ever done that. That's why I was trying to kind of adjust the zoom a little bit to see if that would kick the focus into place.
But yeah, so Smash Brothers has been incredibly popular ever since, I believe it was Nintendo 64, the first one came out, had a very small roster of characters, all the hits that you would kind of expect coming from Nintendo. You got Mario, Luigi, Pikachu, like, a lot of those characters that you would definitely equate to being Nintendo properties, even though Pokemon isn't, that's a whole other thing. And it's just like, it's become such a huge community over the years.
Oh yeah.
Because they also, the wild thing about the Smash Brothers community is that they play all the old iterations, especially Melee and like Project Q and like a couple other things. Project Q is a modded one. So generationally, the games also stay alive for quite a while too.
Well, we have the Melee tournament every other Wednesday.
Exactly.
And it's always amusing because those guys, I mean, they're dragging in CRT TVs. Like,
yes.
Like, they are serious. Like, we will haul 50-pound TVs to the tournament location. And I actually got I got a primer at the end of the day from a couple of guys. I was like, by the way, what's the deal with that? Why are we dragging in CRT TVs?
Oh, who in the chat can guess? Can anybody in the chat guess? Because I know this one.
I found this out Saturday.
We'll give you all like a 15-second little pause to guess.
Yep, there is a reason.
Bam. First guess gets it right.
Yep. And it's a 0 frame refresh, like it's a 0 frame delay from input to action.
Yep.
Right? Which apparently with like HDR monitors, it's a 10 frame delay.
And in Smash, it's a lot. Smash Brothers gets down to the point that it's kind of wild when you think about this, but like, so you know that event they were talking about recently, Port Priority? That's named after a thing that's in the game. In the old school Smash games, whoever did the moves that was on port 1 would have priority if you did them at the same time.
Really?
It was literal port priority.
Wow.
So like that's something like they're all the way down to that level of like frame data.
Does that really affect gameplay? I would have said, so 2 years ago I would have said no. With the level of coordination and training and time that these guys take, and the best way that it was put to me was they may not even be able to describe what's wrong, right, when it comes down to frame rate and stuff like that with Smash or with other fighting games, but they know.
Yeah.
Like, there is an inherent sense, because they've spent so much time, and so much of it is around timing, that yes, I absolutely believe it affects the gameplay.
I think to a lot of the higher level players, it feels like lag on like your standard internet lag for like fighting games. It feels like that, but in real time, like in person versus, because they can feel the difference between a 10 frame delay and like a 6 frame delay or something like that. The other big thing also is just like, if you're interested in this as a subject for basically all gaming, look at the comparisons between 30, 60, 144, and 240 hertz monitor refresh rates in first-person shooters, and there is a genuine difference in accuracy and timing and delay in all of these different monitors that like we've even gone out of our way here at Gamers Heaven to like get 144 or 120 hertz or better monitors for people to be able to play on, because in fighting games especially, and shooters, anything that's quick reflex, you will notice the difference when you are playing on a higher lag system.
These guys are like hand-eye control athletes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. And anybody, and this is actually a discussion we've had a lot of times, is that it doesn't get the same level of, I would say, recognition or respect that like traditional, and I'm putting that in air quotes, athletics gets, but it really should. I mean, it requires the same level of like mental focus and dedication.
Oh yeah.
To get to the pro level.
Well, and then you got to think about some of these guys are playing, and gals and non-binary pals are all playing for hours. Like these tournaments take hours. Sometimes they're over the course of days. So they also the level of mental fortitude to be able to do that much hand-eye control over, you know, the span of a 48-hour period. Sometimes this one was only a one-day event, but still it ran from what, like 9:30, 10 o'clock till
11
about
in the morning
10:30.
till 12 hours.
It's a 12-hour event that some of those people are there for the whole thing.
Grinding. Yeah. No, it really is amazing. Again, that's why I like to highlight stuff like where we're trying to expand the community. And the other thing I want to say about this is, even like the best players, they just want the community to grow.
Absolutely.
They just want people to play and get better and be part of it, which is why we've run Arcadian events, which is one where they bring in like higher level players to coach newer players. We're going to try and do another one of those in the spring. So we've already got some planning going for that. But the thing that I a little bit like to said, the Tuesday night fight night that we're starting tonight, is that opportunity for people who are like intimidated by the level of kind of
like professional
go
play. Yeah.
At the tournaments. This is a great entryway to Smash and fighting games. So definitely something I think people should check out. And it's definitely something we want to keep expanding on and growing on. We have one of these tournaments, one of this size and scope, planned for every month through November so far.
And that's just on the Smash side of things.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, well, so mostly, but that's mostly just on the Smash side of things. So we have a lot of room to be able to add more other fighting game events in there as well. All right.
Chat question that's related here. What is your go-to Smash character?
Oh gosh. So I'm gonna start off with, I don't play Smash, but if I am going to play Smash, I am probably gonna play. I don't even know. Maybe nowadays it'd be something like Cloud in the newest Smash.
Okay.
Just something, you know, or I would go with like Ryu, because then my fighting game, like my 2D fighting game roots could come out. I like the idea of being able to play Richter Belmont, but like I'm not that good. But like they got a lot of characters to pick from, so it's really what are you feeling at the time? For me, it's probably gonna be Cloud. Just something with a sword, so I can stay kind of far away.
A sword bro. That's what Chad says, a sword bro. It feels like everyone in the Smash community knows everyone's community is small but mighty. So I want to add some of that. So yes, that's true. And I think it's because they see each other at a lot of these events, and these events are such a cornerstone of the community.
Yep.
But the thing that I've noticed about FGC and Smash in particular is how positive they are, right?
Yeah.
At the start of the tournament every day, it's nothing but hugs and everybody like, hey, how's it going? Like they're all genuinely just excited to see the people that they like and to get a chance to reconnect and do this thing that they love. And it's such a even happy community.
Even that video that we got of the big pop-off and everything, like, you know, happening and everybody excited, and that was like a really big match, and like one person was out, the one that was on the end cap that we got, there was like 30 people literally standing around watching these two dudes go at it. And at the end, there was a victory, there was a pop-off, and then there was a handshake and a hug.
Yep.
Like even at the highest levels of play.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And that's like, people are like, I hear a lot of online discourse where they're like, the video game community is toxic. And I'll be honest, that has not been my experience as long as we've been having, whether it's been bonus round, stairway, this stuff, anything we've done.
Video game community depends on what game you're in.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, the people that come here are so, like, again, they're just so happy to see people.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
People also travel. Like, we had people from Canada at this event, Eastern Washington, Oregon,
South Oregon. Yeah, I'm sure even we missed some people. People have come up from like California. Like, people travel, especially for these Smash Brothers events, because like, depending on which ones you're going to, they can affect your ranking at some of these larger events.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've already seen, and the fact that they were also running a pool to just give a free entry to some people, which that's a big deal to a lot of players. That takes a lot of pressure of having to come up with that money just off the table, and then you can really focus on playing in the event.
Yep. So again, I encourage everybody to come out, even if you think you're not, quote unquote, not good enough. I think you should give it a shot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
free too. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like, it's a free weekly that people are going to be able to come to and hang out. Traditionally, many years ago, there were like 1 or 2 Tuesday events, and they were very successful because the community loves having something to do. Mm-hmm. And if there's a consistent event that is happening weekly, definitely come out and check it out, because you never know what new game you're going to discover. Heck, there's dozens and dozens of fighting games that most people don't even think about.
Stuff like Guilty Gear.
Oh, and even
Grand
beyond
Blue.
that, like there's the them fighting herds, which is literally a pony and a horse and cow fighting game. There's like Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, which is a genuinely good tag team fighter. There are tons of things, and even like when we get into like old school fighting games. So yeah, it's definitely a space, and if you're looking to play something new, the cool thing about the weeklies is going to be, say, when the new Mortal Kombat comes out.
Oh yeah,
somebody's going to have it. When the new Tekken comes out, somebody's going to have it. We'll probably have it too, but that means it's going to be a free place. You can come check out the newest entry into a series and figure out, hey, do I want to pick this up? Do I like it? Oh, cool. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic time.
So yeah, come out for more of those. I've been meaning to find the time because I want to join one of the Tekken ones. Tekken is my all-time favorite fighting game. I have been playing Tekken since Tekken 1.
And 8's looking so good right now.
It is.
Oh, 8 is looking so good right now.
I love Tekken so much. There's actually a really funny story with Phil and I going back to high school with some Tekken and a broken controller. So, I would love to see a new Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur is definitely a great game. I love that one too. All right. Don't forget, while we're in here, if you've got anything you want us to talk about, drop it in the chat. We've got a couple already, but go ahead and drop your chat topics in there, and we'll get to those at the end of the show. All right. Next bit of news. It was confirmed today, and I saw like 3 articles on it. In Starfield, which obviously we've been talking a lot about lately because it's big, the main character does not speak.
Yes.
No words.
Seems to be the case.
No words. So your main character, no matter how you decide to design them, will not be voice acted. So what I kind of want to talk about, because this has actually been kind of a controversial topic. A lot of people didn't like it in Fallout 4 because they thought the main character was a little too talky. Mm-hmm. I know Cyberpunk had a little bit of kind of back and forth about how good the voice acting was. What are your thoughts on this, John?
So my thoughts on this are, I don't really, I'm kind of on the fence. I don't really go one way or the other with it. I just found out today that Fallout 4 had voice acting from the main character. So like, I was kind of blown away because I was used to like Skyrim and Oblivion and things before that. But I would say that I think a lot of this comes down to player sentiment on what the developers have done in the past. And for me, hearing this, I'm not surprised. What I'm surprised about is that this is something that other people are so passionate I guess that's a better word for it. Yeah, that are so passionate about it. So for me, it's going to feel like another Bethesda romp, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm used to the protagonist not really talking. But I am more interested in the community being so passionate about it. This is the thing that's interesting, because I did not know that they were so divided or so specifically into it, and I didn't know that Fallout 4 was so, the voice acting was so ill received. Like, I would have never guessed that. So I don't know.
I think some of the reason the Fallout
Yeah.
4 voice acting was so ill received, and this may be why Starfield comes back to it, is that you have your dialogue trees, right? When you're going through the stuff in a game like Fallout, and obviously like in Starfield.
Yeah.
What Fallout 4 would do is it would give you like the 3 dialogue trees, and it would give like a general, like, I'm going to say this, right? And it would have your happy response, your sarcastic response, your mean response, right? And you would pick one, but then the voice acting would say something similar,
But not exactly what you picked.
exactly what you picked.
I actually remember that. I remember that because my spouse would get upset about that when they were trying, because they play them all, and then they were trying to do these specific things, and it would say in the voice line, like, it would come out like this, but it would come out different, and then, like, the character would get upset or something, and they're like, it's not saying what I'm actually picking. It's saying something akin to it, but sometimes not even close.
Yeah.
I can understand that frustration.
So this is, I think, again, and I don't want to chat. Somebody said this is a non-issue. I don't think this is an issue. I think it's, again, interesting for 2 reasons. One, because people are very passionate about it,
Yeah.
right? I also think from a game design perspective that it's an interesting choice to make, right? And in the article I was reading, apparently when they first started developing Starfield, they had a voice actor.
Interesting.
They brought somebody in and were doing the voice lines, and as they were going through it, the word that they used was, it was too specific, right?
Okay.
And so to me, it's an interesting design choice because it's a situation of, am I telling a story in the way of, I want the dialogue as the designer to come out the way that we intend it to come out, or do I want the player to be able to insert their own internal tone, tenor,
Yeah, that's tough
thought
because
process into how they're speaking in the game?
yeah,
and
but
will that affect
you're not
player
playing
choice?
Zorg though. Like you're not typing out full responses. So like to me, it's like you're still doing a canned choice. I mean, obviously, multiple choices, everything's going to be different.
Yeah.
But like it is interesting. First of all, it's just interesting that they took a voice actor, found it was too specific, and then took them out. I figured that once you're kind of committed to that voice actor role, you're just going to do it. That's kind of surprising to me. So I wonder, like, if there's going to be hints of that, or if they've really fleshed out the conversation system to be more than just, I pick one option and see where it goes.
I'm curious. I know they've said Starfield has multiple endings and stuff like that. Like, I think it's an interesting thing. I said, to me, it's interesting from that design perspective, is why you make the decision as a designer to not do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a file. I mean, audio files are not that big of a file, you know.
Well,
change.
we're already in the days of 150, 160 gig downloads. So yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know, chat. Let us know what you think. I'm curious. Leave your comments about this. What you think? Whether you prefer having a voice acted thing, or whether you think it's better to just have your dialogue responses and stuff like that, and just be able to, like, you know, act it out in your own head. So
yeah. Let
me know what you think. I'm curious. All right. Let's jump down to this. Be 100% for what I see on screen or 0. I'm fine with 0. What do you mean NES? Because I'm trying to think. The first fully voice-acted cutscene one I can think of that was like a major release was Final Fantasy X. Not counting stuff that had like FMV stuff like the Command and Conquerors.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was 10, but I could be wrong.
There's probably a PC game out there that like did some voice stuff.
But like at this scale and stuff like that, I don't think so. So chat wants to know if anyone is willing to cancel their streaming services if the AMPTP doesn't give in soon on the strikes.
No. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to speak for everybody, but like, knowing consumers, I don't think, and this is unfortunate, I don't think what is happening on the other side of the service is really affecting people's decisions on whether or not they're going to watch their favorite show. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I just don't think people are that in tune with it. But I do think that for people that are in tune with it, there are legitimate reasons to want to cancel your service, at least until they figure their shit out.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So two things. One, listening to people from SAG-AFTRA, specifically SAG-AFTRA, has been more on this than the Writers Guild, but SAG-AFTRA, they don't want you to cancel your streaming services.
That's what I've heard too.
Right. They don't want you to, because the metrics that they're getting out of streaming services right now, even the limited metrics that they're getting and things like that, that's helping their case.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah. Right. So that's, again, it's helping their case to get this strike dealt with. Again, somebody's in the chat talking about, cancel some of them, some because of a kid. I would hold off on canceling. Like, if SAG-AFTRA came out and said, okay, we want to send a message, mass cancel, right? Mm-hmm. You saw something similar happen with D&D when the OGL thing happened, right? Yep. Where people were calling for people to cancel their D&D Beyond. We know that it was getting canceled at a rate of, it was crashing the D&D Beyond cancellation page.
Whoa.
And they removed the quick cancel button from the app and the website.
Yeah, so I think, when there is enough consumer sentiment, especially when it does help, like if it were to help this case right now for all of us to go out and cancel or whatever we needed to do, put our subscriptions on pause or really send a message, then I think enough people might actually get behind that. But this is probably why we haven't heard a big call for it, and a lot of people don't have the mindset to do it, is because nobody is really that is being affected by it has come out and said, hey, we need you to do this to help this way. So like, yeah, like saying I wouldn't cancel them right now. Definitely continue to still help them out. Hopefully that does help them. But like, I can also see in the case of like, Canada Dry was saying, need some because of the kid. And like, that's valid. Because even when you're talking about things like YouTube, I consider that sort of stuff streaming services, because yes, I spend the $12 to have premium because those ads are ridiculous. They're
some of the mid-rolls have gotten really bad.
I was getting ads while I was trying to fall asleep because I'll put YouTube sounds on in the background or whatever every now and then when I just can't sleep.
Yeah, like lo-fi or like noise stuff.
And then an ad, a half-hour ad for some random thing that somebody bought ad space for will come on, and it's basically a fucking show that runs as an ad in between the things I'm already trying to watch. So like, at some point I had to, but when you are in a situation where you need these utilities for a specific case, that makes a ton of sense. I absolutely get that.
If things get canceled, there's nothing new streaming there'll be a trend of cancellations. Netflix, for example, is outsourcing shows to overseas where they don't have strong unions. Netflix is doing some of that. They're the most positioned to do so. The thing is that what Netflix is doing there is classic Hollywood executive freaking behavior. They were like, oh, look at Squid Game. Look how popular Squid Game was. And there's our Martin cameo for the day. Look how popular Squid Game was. We'll just go find a bunch more of those. But the problem is you don't know. Executives like to think they know, but they don't know if they go buy a show from South Korea or anything like that it's going to hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just don't know. So Netflix is trying some of that crap, but it's not. Yeah, I noticed an uptick in Bollywood on Netflix. Wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, I mean, you've also probably seen, like, as soon as this stuff started happening, you've seen a lot of the old shows go up for free in places. You've seen the big case that I saw for this was that, like, as soon as things started going free, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original show, just started popping up for free in places.
Yep.
Because they knew that they had to get some sort of bandwidth and eyes on it before the new Turtle stuff came out.
Yep.
But they couldn't do that with their current situation. So what do? You release the old shows for free and hope that people pay attention.
Yep. YouTube is the new cable. YouTube's trying to be the new cable. They absolutely, that's in their business plan.
Well, if they get the WWE on there, I tell you what, baby, I'll be all over
Peacock.
that. So Peacock and Hulu. So Hulu, sorry, I'm going to WWE for a second. So Peacock has all the premiere events, which is a fantastic place to be, but they don't get Raw and SmackDown until 4 weeks after the actual day has happened. Yeah. And so USA and TNT and I think another one have really got a vice grip on this, so you watch it live there. But Hulu, for whatever reason, gets it like the same week. And so the premiere events are on Peacock with all the historic stuff for SmackDown and Raw and every wrestling thing, AEW, all the way back to whatever you can think of. But Hulu's the place that you want to go if you want the weekly stuff.
I would just like to point out to the chat that this is 2 co-hosts in a row who are big wrestling fans. And this is apropos of nothing. I didn't know this about John, but everybody remembers Pete. Pete, huge wrestling guy, and now we brought it back. Disney Plus and Hulu are consolidating. So here's the thing about the Disney Plus Hulu deal. They have a choice, right? They've rebranded the WWE. It's now something.
WWF changed to WWE when World Wildlife Foundation went after them many years ago. They're WWE now, but they refer to themselves mostly as the WWE Universe.
Yep.
Because they've expanded in TV, they've expanded. Yeah, so.
And they've merged with the UFC.
They merged with the UFC, so you're actually going to see fallout from that in about a week when they become the actual company that they're trying to become. So they got bought up by a parent company, the UFC and WWE, and now they both operate under the same thing. But for years and years and years, they've sent people back and forth. This is why we've seen Ronda Rousey appear. This is why we've seen Shayna Baszler appear. This is why Brock Lesnar has gone back and forth. Brock Lesnar actually does go fight people besides wrestling. I'm not surprised that Impact Sports are all going to be under the same umbrella here really soon.
Yeah. The Disney Plus and Hulu thing. So here's what happened. And whether they're consolidating or not is a question. And this has been all over the major trades, and all the major financial companies are covering this. And there's been a lot of Wall Street analysis about this. And so you have to go back about 10, 15 years. Hulu had started, Hulu was a thing. Then what happened is a partnership evolved, right? And at the time, it was Disney, Comcast, and Fox, right? Before Disney bought them. And they all went, we're going to buy Hulu together. Right? And so they each had basically a third, right, of Hulu. And they're like, okay, we each own a third of Hulu, which is why you started seeing things on Hulu where you'd have a lot of different networks running their stuff on Hulu. Because Comcast owns NBC and NBC Universal and all of it.
Some of them you'd have to pay a little more for and get the TV package and like all this other stuff.
But Comcast owns NBC Universal, which owns a bunch of sub-channels. Fox owned all of its stuff, which included the Fox Family Channel and a bunch of other crap. And then Disney, specifically, the things that they own that are big is ABC and ESPN.
Well, and then they bought a majority of Fox, right?
So that's what happened later. Now, as part of that deal, and this is when Comcast got tricky, right? So here's what happened. Disney goes, we want to buy 20th Century Fox, right? We want to buy Fox. And so they went in and they said, we're going to make an offer on Fox. And without getting too deep in the weeds, what Comcast did is they made what's called a bully offer, right? Disney offers something like, $16 billion for Fox, right? And Comcast goes, nah, we're going to offer $31 billion, right? Not that they actually want to buy it, right?
They just want to get in there.
Well, and specifically what they wanted is they wanted to jack up the valuation of Fox's third of Hulu.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And they wanted to jack up the pricing on this. And then when the regulators got a hold of it, they said, okay, Disney said, we don't want Fox News. We're not taking that from News Corp.
Yeah, no, I
wouldn't. We don't want it. And then the regulator said, you cannot buy Fox Sports.
Oh.
Because they already owned ESPN.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, too much, right? Too much of the market controlled.
Too close to a monopoly there.
Too close to a monopoly there. You can't buy Fox Sports. So Fox Sports stayed.
Okay.
Yep, it was bidding war tactics. But they did acquire, sort of, Fox's third of Hulu. Now, in about a year from now, Disney has to do one of two things. They have to buy Hulu's, the portion, they have to buy Comcast out of Hulu. Right? So Disney will become the sole owner of Hulu at that point. Mm-hmm. Or they have to find a way to divest. Right? This is one of the reasons why, and again, the Disney stuff is interesting to me because it's kind of that intersection of tech and entertainment and business.
And divesting costs a lot of money.
A
lot of money.
And this is one of the reasons why they brought Bob Iger back, was to run this deal. This is also one of the reasons they think that Apple might be looking at buying Disney. Right?
Interesting, okay.
And there's a lot of Wall Street folks who are very close to calling that this might happen in the next year, is that Apple's going to go, we're going to buy Disney, divest Hulu, because Apple has the money, right? Apple could buy Disney literally with the money they have. They could buy Disney 5 times.
Aren't they they're like one of the only $1 trillion like companies, corporations, yeah.
They're massive, right? And everybody's like, can Apple afford them? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Apple could buy them 5 times. They're like, no, whatever. Like all Tim Cook has to do is go look for pocket change in the couch in his office. He's like, oh, here's $1 billion, here's another $1 billion, we're fine, right? Because Apple prints money, right? And they have been for years. Also, Disney has a very close relationship with Apple. They've always had a very close relationship with Apple because Bob Iger was on Apple's board.
Oh.
While he was the CEO of Disney, he was also on Apple's board, and he was close friends with Steve Jobs.
Okay.
And he was the one that bought Pixar.
That I remember.
From Jobs.
Wasn't it like no, this is something else. I think it's like a $5 million check for something else that I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, and Apple has made a huge commitment in the next 5 years. They're going to spend no less than $1 billion a year on theatrically released entertainment.
Theatrically released.
Specifically
theatrically released.
And Apple said theatrically released.
Okay.
$1 billion a year, right? What Apple doesn't have is a deep content well.
No, they do not.
Do you know who does have a deep content well? Disney. So
you don't say.
Right now, Wall Street's got the approximate value of Comcast share of Hulu at about $44 billion, right? That is a crap ton, a metric crap ton of debt to saddle Disney with, to have to service in order to get out of the stuff, right? Apple's, I mean, we can look. I mean, chat's saying Apple's leverage. I don't think they are right now, but let me look at Apple's stuff right now. No, they're up 3% today. Down about 6% over the last month. Year to date, they're up 47%. Apple's fine.
Oh wow, they're doing great.
Their market cap right now is $2.89 trillion. That's the value of the company.
So almost $3 trillion.
Almost $3 trillion.
Okay, so yeah, almost triple what I thought.
I wasn't going to cover this today, but like tomorrow, or they're unveiling, they're doing a Wanderlust, what they're calling Wonderlust special event next Tuesday. Oh no, not next Tuesday. When is it going? September 12th. And they're expected to unveil iPhone 15.
Oh, good.
You know,
I need a new phone, so I've been waiting very patiently for this.
Value doesn't mean cash in hand. Actually, they have that because they're required to report it. Hang on a second. I can actually tell you. They have to
September 12th will be the Wonderlust event.
No, so Apple's latest financials as of June 2023, cash on hand was $62.48 billion. That's not stock. It's not assets. That's just cash.
Wow, that's insane.
62.48 billion. So yes, they could buy. What's Disney's market cap today?
So wait a minute. Wow, how much money does Microsoft have if they can just throw around $69 billion to buy Activision Blizzard?
They could almost buy out Disney with just cash on hand. let's see here. Microsoft cash on hand. So the Blizzard deal is a stock thing. Blizzard has Microsoft has 111 billion cash on hand.
Damn. Okay. Damn, they're
as
just
of June,
really
which is
quietly.
when all the reports.
Okay.
No, Microsoft has a lot of cash on hand. Microsoft's not worth as much.
They're worth about the 2.5 for Apple's current market cap and
2.89,
1.8 for Microsoft. So yeah, they're a bit ahead.
Today's market cap is 2.4.
2.4
for Microsoft.
Okay.
These are all again.
So they're not even that far off then, realistically.
No. I would go, if you're interested in kind of some of the history of this too, I would read Steve Jobs' authorized biography, the one that Isaacson did. It actually goes into a lot of detail about the relationship between him and Gates and kind of the relationship between Apple and Microsoft that has been off and on for literally 4 decades now, 50 years now almost. So Microsoft Cloud Services, I believe that that's probably true. At this point, you're talking about some stuff. Any news on Lorcana restock? Not yet, but I haven't checked the email today. I'm expecting it probably after the. I'm expecting it probably after the Wilds of Eldraine.
Yeah. It's gonna be good though. Very excited for more.
I doubt the FCC would allow an Apple Disney buyout to go through. I think they would, and the only reason is it's not. They're not in the same industry.
Yeah, because Apple doesn't have any sort of. I mean, I know they have Apple TV, but that is so small compared to literally anybody else.
Yeah. The funny thing.
So small.
The funny thing is I think that Apple could get an FTC thing done easily on a Disney buyout. The question is not that, because the other thing Apple would do, and this is really the big question that most of the trades and Wall Street Journal is asking, is this: does Apple want to be in the theme park business? Do they want to be in the cruise line business?
That's a big question. Because we're starting to see Nintendo sort of venture into that area right now, right? And they're finding a lot of success with their IP, though.
But they're doing it in partnership with Universal.
Exactly.
Right.
Which, if you want a fun history lesson, go watch the relationship between Nintendo and Universal since the inception of Mario. Because holy crap, the fact that they're striking a deal with Universal is wild. They hated each other for years because of Donkey Kong and King Kong.
Oh, yeah. By the way, we got some bits for your Steve Jobs vibe today.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, the hotel business, cruise lines, and so one of the rumors, and one of the things that Iger has said publicly, is that he's going to start divesting Disney of some of the things that they don't consider core business, right?
Because they did it with the gaming and stuff a few years ago, right?
They just shut down the division.
Yeah.
The thing is that the rumor is they're looking to sell ABC. They're looking to sell ESPN.
Oh, that's a big one. Okay.
Right. And that they may be looking to sell their cruise line.
I mean, cruise lines make a stupid amount of money, but I can't imagine they cost so much overhead
to run.
All right, Necron here. Take it easy. Yep. Thanks for being here.
But Apple has no iconic content that would sell the masses, and that's kind of the point. Is that they need. Thank you for the bits again, Necron. Apple wants content, and buying Disney, because again, it doesn't just get them to Disney Vault, right, which is huge, but it gets them Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah, it gets them a lot of names, a lot of big names on the platform.
Big brands.
Because like Disney itself, in itself, that mouse is worth a shitload of eyes and a shitload of brains are tuned into whatever's happening at Disney, and then you go into Marvel, and then you go into Star Wars, and then you go into The Simpsons, right? Then you go into all the other stuff that is on that list that like doesn't come to the forefront of your mind, all the way down to all the stuff in the vault that you probably haven't seen for years that they could crack open.
Oh yeah, it's a huge list. List of assets by IP. Let's take a look. God, they have so much. They own all of Lucasfilm. They have 20th Century Family, Regency, Searchlight, Buena Vista. They have a music division.
Comedy Central is owned by MTV Entertainment Group.
That's sub-owned by Viacom? No, Paramount owns that now. Derp. Paramount owns MTV and Comedy Central.
Paramount Media Networks.
Yep. It's a subsidiary of Paramount. So that's actually been another thing that a lot of people have talked about, which is how much the studio system has consolidated over the last 20 years, right? Where there used to be about 9 major studios, now there's like 5.
Yeah.
Apple TV is the best content. They do have really high quality content. The morning show is really good. Ted Lasso. You can make an argument for the Foundation show. I would argue against it, but whatever. They're putting out prestige television. That's all they do, is high end prestige stuff. They don't pump out a lot of content,
which is why I think a lot of people would be comfortable if they pick them up, because like if they're already known for high quality content, they're just lacking in the thing that I think a lot of users need when they get into a streaming platform, where it's like some people pick it up for like 1, maybe 2 shows. I think a vast majority of people pick it up to try to consume a lot of content on one platform. Because I know that's like whenever I re-up my Netflix subscription or whatever during the winter months, it's because there's a lot of stuff that I can go back and watch finally. Because during the summer months, I don't tend to watch as much TV. I tend to play more games than anything. But yeah, that's kind of what I see it as, is like there's not a lot of buzz around their service. There's not a lot of buzz around their other stuff besides the big things that pop off, but they make quality content.
Yeah, they make good stuff. They really are trying. And yeah, they have committed to $1 billion a year in theatrical release stuff.
And speaking of quality content and Disney, since we are on the topic of it, I have not seen it yet, but I'm seeing here Ahsoka got 14 million views.
Yep, Live Plus 5 Day, which is the one that they're using. It's 14 million views, at least 1.2 million households.
So essentially the first week-ish?
Yeah, that's what and it's literally specifically the metric they use is L Plus 5 Day.
For
streaming.
What they did is, I think we talked about this previously, how they like when they structure shows like this, but they released 2 episodes as a premiere, and then they have released episode like weekly since then.
Yes.
Okay, I like the longer premiere sets. I really do like that.
The second one is out today the third episode will be out today at 6 p.m. Pacific time. They also moved the release times.
Oh, interesting.
So they were doing Wednesday midnight, or basically Wednesday morning, 12:01 a.m. And they shifted everything forward 3 hours so they could hit East Coast prime time and West Coast.
Oh.
So West Coast we get at 6 p.m. Pacific, and then
East Coast we get at
9 p.m. Eastern.
That sounds pretty good. That's fair.
I think it's a good release time. I didn't get your right idea yet. I'll have to check. Here's the thing. It's getting good reviews. It's got solid stuff. It's equivalent to what Andor did. It's a little lower than Mando. I'm looking at the numbers right here, but they're pretty happy with the initial numbers from Ahsoka.
Cool. Cool.
So Summit TV uses 3 million smart TVs is where they get their data from. How would you feel putting it? We've actually talked about that, Dog Dad. It's about getting it organized, and it's kind of like a mini-con, and we've done a mini-con before. It's a lot of work.
Like art walks, because this sounds like it would be kind of like an art walky sort of thing, where it's like there's the space people will walk through. It's really just about getting it organized, because the space exists for it here for sure.
Okay, let's talk about the 144-hour stream. So Andrew's team, and so when I first saw it, I was like, is Andrew doing a 144-hour stream? Is he insane? Does he want to die? I love what they're doing. It's very fun. They're handing it off to different team members, and different people are doing different stuff. It's not a terrible idea. here's the thing. I've done Extra Life 24-hour streams, and that's a grind.
As someone who runs the largest nationwide nonprofit for broadcasters, I'm going to tell you that it is a bad idea to do a very long session stream. And in some cases, it can be against the TOS. Take care of yourself out there. Hydrate and sleep. Beyond that, it's your call what you want to do with your channel, but just take care of yourself.
Yes.
When you do these sorts of things. Because they are, in a lot of ways, a stunt. And so please be mindful that you want to take care of yourself out there.
Yeah. Again, I've done 24-hour ones. This used to be a thing with Extra Life back in the day. A lot of people did them. 24-hour streams for Extra Life. It's hard enough to talk for 20 minutes. You have no idea.
Which I support, by the way. So, like, absolutely stream for those nonprofits out there. 100%. Yes. Absolutely.
But I will tell you, when I did the 24-hour for Extra Life, this was back in, gosh, this was before I had kids. Well, maybe not. Might have been right after I had my daughter. We did it. We planned it. I had 6 people on that stream with me, and it was just... It's a grind. It's hard to do.
Yes, it is. That's why we have multiple hosts, production team, even for our just like 1.5 hour to 2 hour, 3 hour shows that we produce for Soba, we have a team of like almost like 12 people, because like you need multiple hosts, you need somebody running production, you need somebody doing all this other stuff, and then imagine if you're just trying to talk and organize and watch chat and do all the other stuff on top of that, including and up to, you know, reading out donations and making sure everybody is taken care of on stream. But yeah, anyways, not to take too much away from that, but like, so explain your 144-hour stream. What is your concept of it? When are you thinking about doing it?
I'm not doing it. Like,
you're not doing it?
I'm not
doing it?
I would not do a 144-hour stream. Again, I think it's a neat concept. I see what he's doing now. I didn't understand it initially. I was like, what? Are you insane? If I had a specific reason to do it, I'd think about it. But again, it would be like a charity thing.
Starfield.
Like a telethon.
Starfield.
Right? And that's the funny thing is these just replaced telethons on TV. Remember telethons?
Yeah.
Right? It's, you know, you could do it, but again, I can't think of any reason why I would. 144 hours, what is that? 6 days? Yeah, it's goofy. All right. Again, if you have any last-minute chat topics, go ahead and throw those into the chat right now, and we'll try and get to those here in a minute. We've already gone through everything you guys already put in there.
Yeah. Do y'all like Warhammer? Who here likes Warhammer? The Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 trailer dropped, and it is great.
Is it?
I don't know if you've seen it yet. Actually, I'm just going to shoot it over to you.
Hang on. I'm going to...
Official gameplay trailer 2. There's like a 7-minute one that's a little bit too long, I think, for the show. But there's a 1:09 one that's like, it shows so much cool stuff.
I'm trying to find it. There's nothing. Okay, I'm gonna go back over here to Discord and take a look. Yeah, I struggle with the Warhammer 40K video games. I really do. Mostly because I swear to God, they license out to everybody.
They do. They scattershot pretty much everywhere. Some are good, like Vermintide, Darktide, some of my favorite games. Vermintide's still going strong to this day. I know a lot of the tactics games did really well. Space Marine 1 was kind of had a lukewarm reception because there was a lot of like third-person action games coming out at the time. But a lot of things lately that have had the Games Workshop branded stuff have done pretty well. I think that taking the scattershot approach for their license has actually been kind of beneficial for them, because the bad ones just kind of fade away because there's so much other stuff coming out to kind of like, you know, get in the way of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. Hang on, I'm going to try and grab this really quick so you guys can watch this with us. I'm going to throw it up on the... Come on. Yeah, okay. You are being evil today, OBS. Thank you. I will just do this. Okay, let's see if that works.
Major Sarkana, what's your
There we go.
status?
And there it is.
So you guys can watch this with us for a second.
They're plotting something. What motive do these creatures have to attack?
I also I would love for them to focus in some other areas of
a worthy adversary.
of 40K.
Yeah, I could see that. Space Marine makes a solid game, but I could definitely see the argument for wanting to kind of branch out.
You know, because again, we focus so much on Space Marines, right? And it's such a big galaxy. There's so many things to look at that I would really love to see them do more.
So what do you think would, like, maybe like something from the Tau, or like maybe like a more orc side perspective?
An orc one would be a blast. I would love to see them do something like a Gorka Morka, like an old school thing, where it's like, you know, hey, let's do freaking orc racing, right? I think that would be a blast. Like, give me an orc racing game.
One. That would be really cool to do a more modern thing.
Yeah, like orc racing or something like that would be a blast. There's so many things that they could do that they just don't, that I would love to see them try. All right. You guys were talking about the strike earlier. We didn't hit this. Dune 2 has been delayed into next year. So, all because of the strike, because their actors can't go promote the film.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, wasn't it Tom Cruise was trying to get the ability to push out his new Mission Impossible movie?
Well, they barely beat the deadline.
Oh, they did beat it. Okay,
they did beat the deadline. So Dune 2, and somebody earlier in the chat was talking about when we're going to start seeing the effects. Now we're starting to see the effects.
Yeah.
We are starting to see the effects of the strike, right? A lot of things are going to get delayed. I think you're going to see a lot of people go back to old content. I've noticed, and this is something that I think is pretty clever of the production studios. So the production studios have been pushing short clips of shows on their official TikToks, right? And so they'll be like, hey, remember this episode of Suits or Lucifer or blankety blank blank blank? And they're literally pushing all like clips of them to TikTok and other things, so that when you're scrolling through your For You page,
Interesting.
you're like, oh yeah, I remember that show. They are pushing that. They're pushing that out hard.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I bet.
What are we talking about? We're talking about right now we're talking about the effects of the strike and the fact that Dune 2 just got delayed. I'm very sad that Dune 2 got delayed. I enjoyed the first Dune.
I really enjoyed it. Yep.
I was really looking forward to this movie. I wanted to know how Denis Villeneuve was going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because this second one's got a lot of heavy lifting to do.
Yeah. Well, and I love his direction, because he did the Blade Runner, the newer ones. I love the way that he takes, or that they take old sci-fi, right? And they hold on to what is true about the traditional stuff, but they somehow are able to modernize it in such a way that it doesn't take away from the old ones, and it really feels like they have taken the time to craft these worlds based on what these old films have established, and then build on it. And I think it's absolutely beautiful, especially with something like Blade Runner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I liked Blade. I was one of the 8 people who liked Blade Runner 2049.
I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
That one, it did not do well in the box office. I loved I loved Arrival.
Oh yeah.
Arrival. Yeah. Have you seen Arrival?
That's the one with the squid ink.
Yeah.
Like talking. Yeah, I thought that was good too. A little slow pace for a lot of people, but I really enjoyed it.
I thought that what Denis Villeneuve did with Arrival showed their range.
Yeah. I can see that for sure.
The immense amount of range, and to make something like that still hit is hard to do. Hey, our main characters are a mathematician and a language expert. Right?
Some freaking nerds, not an action hero.
Right. They're not operators operating operationally. Like, it's not that kind of a thing. I have not read the Blade Runner comics. I should probably catch up on those. So I thought Dune 1 was really great. I was really looking forward to what they were going to do with Dune 2. I still don't understand how they're going to do Dune Messiah. Because that book gets
I don't know.
weird.
I don't know.
Herbert's an interesting case. All right, another couple quick hits. Hey, guess what Microsoft did this week? You remember that $1 free trial that you could do for Game Pass?
Brought it back.
It's gone.
Oh, they brought it back and then it's gone again?
It's gone right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They literally...
Because they brought it back for like 3 months.
Yep, they brought it back, and they just axed it this week.
Oh, I know why.
Starfield.
Yeah.
Yep.
We might actually see a pattern of this emerging more because the only reason that I would play major releases would be on Game Pass most of the time, especially in the last like 2 years, right? So I wouldn't be surprised because me, probably much like many other people, jump back into Game Pass when there's a major release, pay $1, and then pretty much fuck off immediately after you're done playing the game.
Yep. Yeah, so that first month, $1 first month is gone. Goodbye. It does not surprise me. For the same reason John said. Like, they're just gonna, too many people who are gonna pay $1 to play Starfield.
Yeah, and this goes back to the conversation that we were having last week, where I really do think that so much is riding on this for Microsoft that they're willing to do things like this, where they want to make sure people play the game. They want to make sure that their investment is well taken care of, because like they bought them a couple of years ago, and this is their first major release on their system. And it's going to be a flagship title for the Xbox to actually have something first party that matters as to why you might want to go pick up a console or play in their ecosystem.
Yep.
Starfield, I think, is going to be the gateway for a lot of people to understand the value of Game Pass, but also get value out of Game Pass.
Well, and how much did they spend on, I want to see something. They bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion.
Yeah.
It is now time for Microsoft to show their shareholders that was money well spent.
Because the last Bethesda title that came out on Xbox was not good. We're talking about Redfall. And then, like, I loved the concept of Redfall, but Redfall, from the developer's own admission, did not have enough time to get finished. They got the support that they needed, but they weren't able to pivot. It was meant to be a single-player-esque title with some co-op stuff in it, and then they turned it into a looter shooter. And then they basically all got moved off the project. And so, like, this is Microsoft's real attempt to show people that Bethesda, yes, was a good investment.
Odie's is in there. Oh, Redfall.
I loved that game so much for what it was. If you like the Venture Brothers, you'll like some of the voice actors for sure.
Somebody in the chat's kind of affirmed what you're saying. I've never had an Xbox, but this game might make me get one.
Exactly. You know,
it could be a console seller for
even
them.
if you just invest in the S or, you know, play it through Game Pass, it gets you. It's something that is turning heads.
Right. If you can get 500,000 new subscribers to Game Pass at the full price just for Starfield, right? Which I don't think is an unachievable number.
No, especially not with a title like this dropping.
Right.
Even with sales next to it.
Because here's the thing, at least even with Game Pass, even with the dollar value going away, let's say I'm a PC player, and I'm like, well, they took away the dollar thingy, and now I got to go to the $17.99 version to get the PC version. But Starfield's a $60 game. So I can pay for my $17.99 a month, and then if after 2 weeks I don't like Starfield, I can always cancel.
Yeah.
And then I'm not out $70 for the game.
Or you might alternatively want to invest in that game once you've played it.
Right.
Which means they might have even more of a sale through Game Pass because you get a 10% discount while you have Game Pass. So why would you not pick it up? Because you're already eliminating the tax on the game.
Yep.
That $15 you spent to try it out is basically the overhead.
Yeah.
To answer the question, Redfall was a unique take. It was a vampire hunting RPG that had a unique take on not only the abilities but the vampires. The vampires were a bunch of rich people that went to an island and genetically modified themselves to have basically godlike powers. And the vampires were pretty fun and unique. Like, they pushed out the water from the island. They blocked out the sun. They had godlike powers And so it was just like a very fun, unique take on vampire mythos. And the gameplay was actually kind of fun too, because it was fully open world. You could do the missions however you wanted. The problem is they didn't have enough time to let it bake in the oven before it came out. And the advertising campaign sold it as though it was a fully finished product. So, but Redfall was absolutely great. I think it's going to be one of those that I'll return to finish when all the major releases are done.
Yep.
And it has co-op. That's the big thing for me.
So like Cyberpunk? No. Redfall wasn't like Cyberpunk, was it?
No. Buggy on release, maybe, in comparison. Like, they were both buggy on release. But, like, so Redfall, it was like a bunch of biotech millionaires that went to an island and, like, essentially started experimenting on people and then, like, you know, found this very specific thing that gave them super vampire powers. I don't want to spoil too much because a lot of
like
this
from
is
a
learning.
gameplay perspective, initially it was supposed to be like almost like a role-playing kind of shooter, RPG shooter. Initially, before they changed it to the looter shooter.
Yeah, single player, more open world. Think something like Far Cry, but with vampires.
Okay. So a Far Cry type game with vampires, but that's not what it ended up being at release.
No, thankfully, and not as monotonous as like, I'm sorry, Far Cry I've played a bunch of, not as monotonous as like going to a tower, climbing the thing, turning the radio thing on, and then going to the next one. This was like, you could explore the buildings, you could explore all the places, you could figure out your way around each level. The whole idea was because this was behind the people that made Dishonored. So like, the whole idea was freedom of choice for completing missions. And so like, it wasn't like Cyberpunk in the sense that you had a very linear RPG quest line that you could follow, but then there was a lot of branching narratives. This was more of a open world experience in the truer sense of like, you could just go do missions however you wanted to. There was no set rhyme or order to them. And you could kind of complete them as you wanted around each part of the island.
It really is too bad that one was not a great release for Bethesda.
Yeah.
Again, this is kind of a make or break for both Bethesda and Microsoft. Right.
This is a very tried or true moment right here.
Right. If this game comes out and just crushes, especially on the heels of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Right. Which I almost feel bad for Starfield because the last release it's going to be compared to is Baldur's Gate. And Larian did such a good job on the finish and polish and everything else of Baldur's Gate that I'm seeing some stuff here with some leaks, and people are talking about invisible walls, right?
Well, so Baldur's Gate, I think it is
loading times and stuff like that.
It's fair to remember, though, for Baldur's Gate especially, they have had over a year to get this formula perfected because they've been in early access for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. So like Baldur's Gate has kind of been out, but not really for a while. So they've had a lot of time to fix all that stuff where like Starfield is just coming out. Yeah. And we're going to get whatever the Bethesda product is that rolls out. You know, much as everybody else in the community probably jokes like I do, the game's going to come out and then the mods are going to fix it, a week later, and then we'll all be playing it as it should be.
Yeah. And John and I were talking about this before the show today because like the review embargo lifts in 2 days. Mm-hmm. The fact that the review embargo is lifting that late gives me pause.
Yeah.
It's usually, not always, it's usually not a good sign. When they go, the review embargo lifts the day before it comes out.
Yes. And I think we were talking about this too. The only thing that I would, the only saving grace there that I see is that on the 31st, the same day that the review embargo goes up or goes away, content creators will be able to stream the game live. So a lot of people are going to be able to watch the game before it even releases and be able to formulate a very strong opinion for themselves by being able to see the game instead of just waiting for the review to drop and either reading about it or watching the bits that you see in a review that are non-spoilers. So if you're really concerned about like, what does this game look like? What does this play like? Does it hold up to these expectations? It is cutting it a little close, but hopefully that will allow people to assuage themselves of that worry a little bit of like, oh, this is really close for review embargoes. Traditionally, this is a bad sign. The fact that they're letting content creators put stuff out the day before even the early access releases gives me a little bit of hope, but like you said, who knows, right?
To answer Dog Dad's a little more in depth, so, and this is a very common thing in television, movies, books, and video games, right, is if John's the reviewer and I'm Microsoft, I'm going to go, okay, John, I'm going to give you the game 2 weeks early.
Yep.
Right? So that you have time, especially with video games.
Especially with something as large as Starfield.
Especially with something as large as Starfield. So you have time to get through this game and give it a proper review. I've seen some of the reviewers that I follow say they just finished Starfield today.
And I think the review copies went out like a week and a half ago.
Yeah. But what will be part of that is you will agree as a reviewer, right, that you will not publish any reviews of the game until a set date and time.
And in most cases, the NDA that you sign will say, non-disclosure agreement, for those that are not familiar, the NDAs that you will sign will also say things like, you can't talk to this, you can't talk about the fact that you've been playing it. Sometimes you can't even talk about the fact that you're reviewing it. In this case, everybody's able to talk about the fact they're reviewing it. But like, there's a lot of stipulations that usually go into these NDAs.
Right. They will also usually have a list of DNRs, do not reveals.
Yes.
In the review thing, well, they'll be like, hey, we don't want to spoil the audience's fun, so don't reveal the end.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll have a series of like big plot twists or anything like that they want to have held back. They will have a long list of DNRs. And this applies to movies and TV too. I don't know if they're doing this as much with video games, but a lot of times what you see with films, with movies, is they'll bring the reviewers in at either the junket or the red carpet, and what they'll say is, you can do a social media post, an impressions item, the day of the screening.
Yeah.
And the review embargo is 10 days later.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of times they'll be like, you're allowed to say stuff on social, like you can be like, I liked it, I didn't like it, you know.
Yeah, for games, a lot of times you don't even get, you gotta wait. Like literally, like if you say anything about it, even again, oftentimes the fact that you're streaming it or playing it, reviewing it at all, is not allowed. So like, they're a lot more tight-lipped on that sort of stuff as far as even impressions go.
So that's what those things have. Again, it's very common in the entertainment industry. Nobody even really does that. But again, you'll see some entertainment people who say, and actually the same thing goes for movies. If a movie's review embargo doesn't happen until the day before the actual like wide release, it's generally a bad sign, right? Because if you're trying to build hype for something, right, or in the case of video games, get those last pre-orders right before the drop.
Yeah.
You probably want the review embargo. If the reviews are going to be good and you feel like they're going to be good, you want to start building hype for it.
Yeah, and my other 2 cents on this specific situation, especially when it comes to Bethesda and what they're doing here, is like, I think they are genuine playing this, just trying to play this one extremely close to the chest because of the fact that this is their new IP in over, 20 years? I looked it up recently, so
yeah.
it's 20 years. I was wrong last week when I was saying 10. I guess it is over a decade. Like, this is their newest IP in 20 years. I think they're just being super extra cautious with letting anything out, any impressions out, anything like that, because you have to be super, super safe, especially if we are considering the fact, like we talked about earlier, that this is a big moment for both Bethesda and Microsoft. And yeah, ODS Persona 5 did have some famous DNR for the last so many chapters of the game. It was like the last 3 months, or however they structured their chapters in that game. Last 3 months of the game play, which took course over several months because you were in a school year. But people actually got like shut down for streaming that. Like Twitch channels got banned, like legitimately got banned.
Really?
Because in their, like, and this wasn't even like a pre-release situation. This was, if you played Persona 5 on Twitch, you could not stream past a certain date in the game, period, hands down. And if you did, they actually got you banned. They would go in and take you out because it was in their agreement that you couldn't stream past a certain date because they didn't want spoilers for all the Persona fans. The same thing kind of happened with this. I almost spoiled the fight at the end of the Final Fantasy game, but the newer Final Fantasy remake, they did the same thing with the last fight. You weren't allowed for the first like couple of months to stream that at all.
There you go. I mean, I understand it to a degree. We've done the spoiler talks on like when spoilers are allowed,
and like
on this channel many times.
I will point out that, and I talk about this a lot in my show, where it's like, we are in a privileged position. It's a very gray area to be able to stream games in the first place. There is nothing written anywhere that says game companies have to let you do this, and if they want to put stipulations on their license agreements, they are fully entitled to do that. It is basically a I scratch your back, you scratch mine. They know it's good for marketing, but at any point in time, they can put stipulations on how you play their game, because you as a consumer do not physically own that product. You own a license to use it. And that is a very clear, they make that very distinction very clear. You don't own this property, you only have a license when you buy this game.
Yep.
And they can do whatever they want with that license.
And again, go back and check our YouTube channel. We've talked a lot in the past. We've got a bunch of videos up about physical copies and digital distribution and leasing of video games and honestly movies and TV shows and all that stuff. It's a risk, right? And it's now extending even to like stuff like D&D, where with D&D Beyond, if you look at their terms of service, they have the right to ban your account at their discretion for any reason. Mm-hmm. Right? And you lose access to that content that you paid for. Yeah. Right? But yeah, I mean, yeah, streaming is a legal gray area.
It really is.
I've talked to a couple of attorneys who specialize in IP stuff about this, and they're like, it exists because nobody's tested it in court.
100%. That's what all of my lawyers have said too.
Yep. It's never been tested in court, and the few times where, like, again, somebody like Nintendo or somebody like that has hit people with DMCA's, those people don't have the money to go fighting that all the way up.
And they don't have a case, unfortunately. They don't, because you clicked agree more often than not, especially, and they'll slip these in on updates when a game comes out. They'll slip these in on so many things. Read your licensing agreements. And I'm not joking about this. I know it sounds crazy. If you have a lawyer friend, get them to read it if you care this much, because even Baldur's Gate 3, I don't know if people saw this, and you'll blah, 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 the license agreement, I forget the acronym.
EULA, yeah.
Thank you. They have in there some joke stuff that could be taken seriously, but there are things like the demonic pact that they put in there. They actually have things in the EULA that are not related to the game, but they put in there to see if people would actually read it.
There was actually a famous one a few years ago where they actually put a $1,000 prize in the EULA. And they were like, what? And they literally did it to see who was reading it.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And the result was a $1,000 check.
Dang.
Right? They were like, if you read this and you're the first one to read it, and send us this, you will get $1,000. And he got his $1,000.
Awesome, as he should.
Right. They put that weird stuff in the end user license agreement of Baldur's Gate.
Oh, yeah. So it was I actually just pulled it up right here. Additional obligations in Eldritch Law. Time for a pause as we understand now that your mind is longing for respite after enduring the above numerous provisions of legal jargon. But they literally say that, like, in here they have an Eldritch agreement.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. You're not allowed to strike a pact with a Fey, Infernal, or Eldritch creature. That's pretty funny. I've always wondered whether that, I mean, they've got severability clauses in there, for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they can stick that in there and it doesn't kill the entire EULA.
Yeah, and then there's another funny one in there about, like, oh gosh, I can't remember what the other one was because it's not on this site, but, like, there's a couple little clauses in there that are just, like, meant to be funny.
Yeah. Don't you miss the days when you could, just buy a cartridge and stick it in your freaking video game? Warlock's better keep their class in the down low. That's true. All right, that's what we're going to call today's show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow. John has got lots of PAX things to prepare for. So John will be back next week. So much PAX. I will be at PAX Friday and Saturday. I'll talk about tomorrow and Thursday about kind of the promo stuff we're going to do for the store at PAX. I'm going to be wandering around with gift cards and fun free boba certificates and stuff like that. So come hang out with me tomorrow. We'll see you guys later. And then next week, I'm sure when John gets back, we will do a review of PAX and kind of what we saw. And hopefully we're going to get lots of cool gaming news and tidbits out of the show.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a several hundred person meetup event at Hard Rock Cafe. I have on-site meetup at PAX. There's going to be a meet and greet with my group on Monday, and then on Monday I'm going to the Nintendo event. Our org has a couple panels that we're doing, so we got PAX plans aplenty.
I keep meaning to go to one of the meetups.
You should go to this one.
Without actually being the one running the store. I was like, I keep meaning to go. I'm like, I have 2 affiliate channels. I really should just go.
I mean, we have over 200 people signed up for this event. So
for the
if you
Hard
want
Rock
to check
one?
one out, yeah, we're probably going to hit 300 for
That's
sure.
That's awesome. All right, guys. We love you all. Have a great day. Come see us at the store. Don't forget, again, Tuesday night fight night. Come in and grind out some stuff. Come play some Tekken, play some Street Fighter, play some, we downloaded some Guilty Gear.
Come
play
say
some
hi.
Smash. Come hang out with us. We will see you later.